The sunscreen bottle glowed white on the July beach, and I watched as my husband handed it to another woman, as if handing her the keys to our marriage, which, in retrospect, he probably did mean. Schuller, can you wipe my back? Alan always refuses to put on sunscreen properly. Grant's laughter came across the beach, light and carefree. Exactly the same laughter that I had loved 20 years ago, but now it was as harsh as a fingernail scratching a blackboard. I am Alan O'Connell, and until that moment, I thought I knew my husband well enough. I repair computers for a living and work for Boston Technology Group, BTG, a small company located outside our declining town of Marblehead, Massachusetts, where I can support my family, if not glamorous. Grant, on the other hand, is the family's lawyer, rising to the top at the downtown law firm of Albright Stone, LLP, and he has always been ambitious, with plans and dreams to transcend this seaside town. Schuller Vance squeezed a large lump of SPF 30 sunscreen into his palm and smiled as if he had won the lottery. This heartthrob has an impeccable smile, the kind of woman who may have reached the peak of her life in high school, but never realized it. Her hand swam skillfully over my husband's shoulder with a kind of excessive familiarity, and a chill poured into my stomach for an instant. "All right, handsome," she said, with a deliberate charm in her voice. It was their first week on the job, and I stood 10 feet away, carrying my son's beach bags like a porter, watching our marriage fall apart in broad daylight. Our 14-year-old son, Ethan, is stacking sandcastles with his 9-year-old brother, Liam, and is unaware of his mother's epiphany at the moment. "Alan, what are you staring?" Grant shouted, without even turning his head towards me. "If you are so worried about applying sunscreen, why didn't you take the initiative just now?" The group of friends around us, Trevor, Nolan, Carla, the Alex Millers, and the Fitzgerald family, all turned to look at me with a kind of compassion that belongs exclusively to the unknowing wife in their eyes. I felt like a specimen under a microscope, and it wasn't some interesting specimen yet. "Just worried about your sunburn." I forced out a smile that thought was natural. "You know how sensitive your skin is." Schuller's hand rested on Grant's lower back, just above the edge of his swimming trunks, and he arched slightly at her touch, and I watched as a 20-year marriage dissipated like a morning mist. "Don't be so alarmist," Trevor chimed in as he adjusted his oversized sunglasses. He was a close college friend of Grant's who always chewed his tongue. "Schuller was just being nice to help, wasn't he, honey?" The sound of "dear" with inexplicable possessiveness let me hair all over. This town can't hide anything big, and I'm the only one who's obviously kept in the dark. I immediately took out my cell phone to check the flight. The last flight to Chicago and then to Dallas was 3 hours away, and I could be home at midnight. "I want to go back early," I suddenly announced. Grant finally turned, and Schuller's hand was still on his shoulder, as if it were her exclusive place. "Alan, don't be silly. There are still 2 days to go. Ethan has baseball training camp on Monday. I have to go back and help him prepare the equipment." This is half true. The equipment is ready, but my organization is helping me plan my escape at the moment. "Mom, training camp is next week." Liam looked up and debunked me. "It's the reserve camp," I corrected while pressing the booking button. Grant narrowed his eyes and said sharply, "You are very strange today. Don't run away again." "Escape?" I stared at Schuller's hand still on him. "You call this complicated?" Schuller finally retreated, but his face was full of satisfaction. "Don't you just help to apply a sunscreen? As for making a fuss?" I pressed my anger and picked up the children's bags. "Pack your things and leave in an hour." "But, Mother—" As soon as Liam spoke, I interrupted him. "Just for an hour." Back in the hotel room, I packed my luggage efficiently. The clues that had been overlooked by me before, late night overtime, newly bought clothes, and strange brilliance, all clearly emerged now. I left a note on the bedside table. "Found your sunscreen. Don't go home until you think it over. I'm fine with the kids." Then he left and never looked back. When I got home at midnight, I gently carried the sleeping Ethan and Liam to bed and suppressed my anger. 3 days later, Grant's phone call finally came, sharply accusing. "Alan, what the hell are you crazy about? The kids are looking for you, and Liam's been crying." Sitting in my home office full of computers and devices, I calmly responded, "Tell Liam I'm where I should be." He asked me where I was, and I mocked. "Thanks to you, my friends are asking embarrassing questions. Your disappearance is really wonderful." He told me not to play dumb. I pointed to the sunscreen incident. Schuler applied it very carefully. Grant argued that he was just a friend, and I immediately debunked his lies. "You texting late at night is also talking about real estate? I also know that your so-called overtime is fake. I called your office last Tuesday, and the whole building was empty." There was a frantic conversation between Trevor and Schuler on the other end of the phone, and Grant said he wanted to go home. I refused directly. "Don't come back. I've changed the door lock. Your things are on the porch. Take them as soon as possible." He growled furiously, and I calmly reminded, "The house is under my name. You didn't add a name for promotion. You are insane." Maybe I finally wake up. Hung up on Grant, and I immediately called Alex Miller. He is a real man and would never hide such things. "Alan, what happened on the beach?" "Grant, Alex, help me ask Carla what exactly she saw on the beach and how long this has been going on." The silence on the other end of the phone says it all. "Carla thinks it will be about 3 months, maybe longer. She didn't dare to tell you." 3 months. I murmured, and instantly understood why he had suddenly run a fitness card. "We all thought you knew, didn't dare to talk." "Do you think I would tolerate my husband being touched on a family trip?" "That's not what I meant. Thank you for telling me the truth." Hang up the phone. I open the laptop. It's time to use my expertise. Grant made a fatal mistake. He logged into the mailbox on our shared kitchen computer. In a private folder were 3 months of intimate emails from him and Schuler, full of travel plans and complaints about me. More importantly, the financial folder. He was keen on encrypted currency trading and took part in a high-yield scam, not only losing all his US $30,000, but also using common deposits to fill the hole. No wonder he always said overtime, but in fact he was mending financial loopholes and pestering Schuler at the same time. I forwarded the key mail to a private mailbox and cleared the browsing history. If Grant wanted to play the game, he would soon learn that his wife was far better at it than he was. The phone vibrated, and it was Ethan's text message. "Mom, Dad shouted at the door, saying you changed the door lock. What's going on?" I looked out the window, and Grant was standing by the trunk poking at his phone angrily, looking up to see me, his eyes burning with anger. The second round of the confrontation had begun. Grant moved to Trevor's house, which instead helped my revenge plan. Trevor's Victorian converted house has thin walls and poor privacy, which is perfect for him, who loves to gossip. Ironically, her husband lives in the home of the biggest gossip in town, but still wants to cover up his secret. I waited for a week, during which Grant made 17 phone calls, sent 43 text messages, and broke into my office twice, all of which I refused to answer, deleted, or asked security guards to drive away. The kids stayed with me and went to Trevor's on weekends, and only Grant got a taste of disgrace. 14-year-old Ethan knew everything. One morning he stopped me in the kitchen and said, "Dad cheated on me, didn't he?" I nearly choked. "Ethan, this thing Mom, I'm not a child." I saw him on the beach and heard him on the phone with Trevor last night, crying that you ruined everything. Did I ruin everything? Trevor said he was exaggerating, saying you come sober, we'll forgive him. Ethan spoke sharply in quotation marks. "What do you think?" I asked. "I think Dad is an idiot," he said. "You should make him pay." Children's words are unscrupulous, but they are right. That afternoon, I called my 70-year-old neighbor, Mr. Donovan. He was the town's famous messenger, most keen on collecting and spreading gossip. "Ellen, dear, are you all right?" I heard Grant moved out. His tone was full of sympathy, but he could not hide his excitement at the gossip. "I'm fine, but the children are very difficult. I don't understand why my father should choose others and give up his family." "Others?" He immediately came to spirit. I sighed with pretending hesitation. "It may not be a secret. He has been very close to Schuler Vance recently. On the beach last weekend, Ethan asked me why my father allowed Miss Vance to touch him like my mother." There was a silence on the other end of the phone. Apparently, he was fast digesting the message. Poor boy, I didn't know it was so serious. I want to keep it low-key, but it's too difficult. Half the town has seen the scene on the beach, and now he's moved in with Trevor and doesn't intend to solve the problem at all. Move to Trevor's? Isn't he dating a girl from the bank? That was before. I foreshadowed the situation. Apparently, Trevor recently, I have also been very close to Schuler. Perhaps the town is too small, and there are too few choices. This is not a fabrication. I've seen them several times in the Black Dog Tavern, and their manners are intimate. Donovan gasped. You don't think? I just want to focus on the kids and live my life. Hung up the phone. I know. Within a day, Donovan's gossip network will let the whole town know. Grant moved to the house of his best friend Trevor, and Trevor may be having an affair with his lover Schuler. The second phase of my plan was to go to the local Black Dog Tavern, the town's gossip center. I specially chose Thursday night, when there were no more or less people, which could not only cover me, but also spread gossip efficiently. Schuler was there, talking to a group of people, and when he saw me come in, his expression instantly changed from confidence to vigilance. I ordered a beer and sat at the bar, not far away just to avoid direct conflict. Tommy Fitzgerald waved at me, and I went over to sit down. He and Alex condoned me, and I deliberately raised my voice. The children are even more difficult. I don't understand why Dad moved to live with friends and didn't want to go home to solve the problem. Friend? I thought he lived at Trevor's. Tommy was puzzled. Yeah, Trevor and Schuler, sort of a modern solution to a modern problem. As soon as this was said, the pub fell into a subtle silence for an instant. The news spread like ripples, and Schuler was quiet at the table. She was staring at me with hostility. The effect was perfect. I finished my beer and left, and as soon as I got to the parking lot, Trevor's phone came, furious. You're spreading rumors about me and Schuler. I'm just talking to friends. I pretended to be innocent. Your roommates. She stays with you and leaves the pub together. The truth is here. We are just friends. Even if it is, this is also an excellent conversation. You know the power of gossip in small towns best. He accused me of hurting the children, and I retorted, the children are doing well, but their fathers are fooling around with friends and lovers. I hung up the phone without waiting for him to respond. When I got home, Ethan waited for me with ice cream, with a clear face. Mom, how's it going? Your father will be very angry. That's good. He sounded serious. The next morning, I got a text from Grant asking me to come to Albright Stone for an interview at 10 o'clock. I arrived 15 minutes early, well-dressed and calm. Grant was already waiting in the conference room, surrounded by his boss, Judith Albright, both looking tired. Alan, thank you for coming. Albright spoke in a smooth tone. Grant wants us to talk about your spreading malicious rumors and damaging his reputation. What rumors? I sat and asked. There were rumors about him having an affair with Schuler and financial problems. I immediately took out my cell phone and opened the saved mailbox folder. 40 of their close emails are enough to prove that cheating is a fact. The bank statement also clearly shows that after he lost $30,000, he used our common savings to fill the hole. Grant's face was pale, and Albright glanced at him impatiently. You're taking it out of context. Grant's voice tightened. I read out a snippet of his email directly. Can't wait to feel your touch. Alan works overtime. We can be alone until 10 o'clock. Ellen is too stupid to find out when she is at the dinner. Grant jerked up. I don't have to listen to this. You have to listen, I responded calmly. I will file divorce proceedings on Monday, and this evidence will become public record. Albright was busy proposing a peaceful settlement and sealing the records. Dignity. I sneer. Why didn't he think of dignity when he asked other women to wear sunscreen in front of children and people and complained about the stupid wife to support his family? Grant begged in despair. Think of the children. I think every day, I replied. I want them to know that there must be consequences for their actions. I got up to leave and turned back to add, by the way, you should ask about Trevor, and Schuler, your lover, is not only interested in you. I walked out of the office feeling relaxed, ignoring the vibrating mobile phone, and began to prepare the third stage of the charity dinner. The North Shore Community Foundation's annual charity dinner is a small-town event, a gathering of celebrities, but it's actually a gossip show. This year's theme, Building Tomorrow Together, is ironic. Many relationships will crumble here. I had no intention of attending, and attending alone inevitably led to inquiries about marriage changes, but Ethan's suggestion changed me. Dad will take new friends, everyone thinks you will hide, and your attire will make him uneasy. The idea is very strategic. So I rented a dress, cut my hair, and showed up at the yacht club in a capable manner. There were many acquaintances in the ballroom, and my eyes were full of curiosity and sympathy. Grant was there, dressed in an expensive evening gown, forming the town's most eye-catching, interesting triangle with Schuler and Trevor. I socialize with red wine and skillfully avoid problems. In the past 2 weeks, I have already practiced expression management in public places. The key is to show a posture of injury without losing dignity. Henry Vance, chairman of the foundation, came forward and said, "I'm glad you can come. Has Grant adapted to the new environment?" This was exactly the opportunity one wanted, and I responded tactful. He seems to be very comfortable with the current arrangement. Although it is not conventional, it is also a modern solution to modern problems. Arrangements? Live with Trevor and Schuler. Grant lives at Trevor's house, and Schuler is there most nights. I can't ask about the details. I excused myself to leave, leaving Henry to ponder and spread the word. I had similar conversations with 6 people in 20 minutes, adding a little detail at a time, but not involving slander. The beauty of small-town gossip is that there's no need to lie. Just present the facts from an unfavorable angle and let people's imaginations fill in the blanks on their own. I stood by the bar, admiring the subtle chaos I had caused, and Trevor suddenly appeared at my elbow like a delicately dressed avenging angel. "We need to talk," he roared in a low voice. "Hello, Trevor, you look really good tonight. This evening dress is against your guilt." "Stop pretending, Alan. I know what you are doing." "I'm supporting local charities and talking to friends. What are you doing?" He grabbed my arm and pulled me to a quiet corner near the cloakroom. "You're ruining people's lives with lies." "Lies? I didn't say a lie tonight. Everything I said was technically accurate. You make people think that I have an affair with Schuler, that the 3 of us live together. What a strange threesomes. Don't you have an affair with Schuler?" The silence that followed said it all. "Things are complicated." He finally spoke. "I'll bet it's complicated. Does Grant know about this complicated situation?" "Alan, you don't know the whole truth." "Then explain it to me." "In my opinion, you've been flattering both sides of this triangle for several months. You are both Grant's good friend and Schuler's secret lover, and you want to control both of them at the same time." Trevor's face turned white in an instant. "You are crazy." "Is it? So you explain why Schuler's iconic red convertible, parked outside your house every Tuesday night for the past 6 months, always leaves before dawn? Explain why you knew about Grant's financial problems before I did? Explain why you're so eager for him to move in with you instead of letting him try to work things out with his wife." Trevor stared at me as if I had 2 heads. "How did you know about Tuesday night?" "I'm good at my job, Trevor, and my job is to focus on the details that other people overlook." I took out my cell phone and showed him a photo taken 3 weeks ago at 11 o'clock in the evening. Schiller's red convertible was parked in his driveway. I have dozens of such photos, spanning several months. Do you want to show them all to you? Alan, you scared me. Well, you should be afraid. Because while you were playing with my family, I have been collecting evidence. Tomorrow morning, I will talk to Grant about what an important role his best friend played in destroying our marriage. I turned to go and turned back. "Oh, by the way, Trevor, you should probably fix your makeup. You look a little sweaty and everyone is starting to notice you." I left him standing there and returned to the ballroom, where the entertainment of the dinner was about to begin, but the real performance had already begun, and I, sitting in the front row, was admiring the realization of my own elaborate plan. When I woke up the next morning, I saw 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Obviously, Grant had been thinking about my conversation with Trevor all night, and the result was as explosive as I expected. The last text message from 3:47 in the early morning was the most interesting. "Come to the lake house at noon, and come alone." We'll finish it today. The lakeside cabin, a log cabin that Grant inherited from his grandmother, is located on the shores of Lake Winnipesaukee, New Hampshire, about 20 minutes outside of town. It was there that we spent the happiest time in the early days of our marriage when we were still in love with each other and thought we were building a relationship that would last forever. The irony of ending this where we started, I couldn't be more clear. I took the children to my mother's house, told them to call me every hour, and then drove to the lake with both expectation and fear. This is it. I've been here for weeks, the final showdown that I've been preparing for. Everything I've done, every move, is paving the way for this moment. The cabin looked smaller than I remembered, and had looked somewhat shabby under the years of winter and neglect in New England. Grant's car is already parked there, next to Schuler's red convertible and Trevor's white off-road vehicle. Obviously, coming alone has a different meaning from normal people in the world of derailers. I sat in the car for a while, looking at these three cars. They represented the destruction of my 20-year marriage, and a complex emotion surged in my heart, not calm, but a sense of cold satisfaction. I played this game better than any of them expected. Now, it's time to reap the fruits of victory. As I walked to the cabin, Grant greeted me wearily. "Thank you for coming. Is this the place to beg my forgiveness?" I asked rhetorically. "No, I came to tell you that you won." After entering the house, Schuler and Trevor sat on both ends of the sofa in a dignified atmosphere. Schuler got up and wanted to speak, but I sat down with a cold voice. Adults talk. Children don't interrupt. Grant apologized first. "I never thought it would turn out like this." "It's devastating selfish," I corrected him. "You're making choices, not mistakes." Trevor tried to argue that he just wanted to help his friends. I took out a screenshot of my cell phone directly. Schuler said, "When Grant is settled, we won't have to sneak around anymore. This is a common friend." Grant momentarily breaks down and questions Trevor. I bluntly punctured. "You and Schuler were together for more than a year. You encouraged Grant to cheat just to cover up and persuade him to move to your place for easy control." Trevor retort powerless. Grant finally see his true colors. Schuler wanted to plead, and I interrupted. "I'm not angry. I'm just more focused than angry." I went to the window to look out at the calm of the lake, the peace here out of step with the chaos of the past few weeks. "Next is my condition." I looked at the lake and said, "Grant, you need to sign the divorce documents and take full responsibility, agree that the children are mainly raised by me, and explain to Ethan and Liam in person, return the $30,000 and interest lost on misappropriated joint deposits, and no objection to the division of property." This is so unfair. Do you think it's fair when you complain about the stupid wife, go out behind my back, and let someone else do something to you in front of the kids? Grant cried bitterly, and I made no waves. I turned to Schuler. "Stay away from my family forever or face the consequences." She called me a threat, and I responded that it was a consequence. Then I took out a folder full of evidence. "These emails and financial records will be sent to your law firm and bar association tomorrow. You should think of the consequences if you use your work email to engage in extramarital affairs." I looked around at the three of them. "You all think I'm stupid, but you underestimate me. 20 years of marriage. You ruin everything for 3 months of love. I hope it's worth it." I turned to leave, and behind me came 3 people accusing each other. Back home, I finally got rid of all the trouble and won back my own life.